Sup flappers, welcome to another video. Sorry, my apologies for not uploading yesterday. This video was supposed to come out yesterday, but I ran into some technical difficulties and I just couldn't finish it on time. So here it is. I want to talk about the new Abyss. I have played through it, I have tested a couple and different teams through it, and I gotta say, I was very excited and I still am very excited. So here I want to share my findings with you and maybe talk a little bit about the future and why that we're currently in the best version of Abyss, and likely going forward we're going to have better versions to come. So first and foremost, if you enjoy these kind of videos, like, subscribe, it really helps out the channel. I would like to hear more of your opinions. I want to hear more of your inputs so I can make better and bigger discussion videos in the future. With that said, let's get into the video. Finally, we have new enemy types. It feels more difficult, but at the same time not troublesome. Now this is very important because increasing the difficulty level does not mean it has to be more frustrating to deal with. That is oftentimes seen as the way to go when things become more difficult, but that is only one version of difficult. So the Abyss, Herald, and Lector, while it was more difficult, they felt more like a puzzle piece. You needed to use a certain element type or a couple specific elemental types to break their shield at the very end. That was the gimmick. That was the catch. If you did not have the opposing elemental damage, you were not going to kill them. If you were using Tartaglia as your main DPS, you're not killing the Abyss Herald. If you are using Kaching as your main DPS, right, Electro Kaching, you are not killing the Abyss Lector. These are enemies that were introduced into the game, and they came along with big gimmicks that forced you into not only dealing with them through their first stages, but you also had to find an opposing elemental type. So if you didn't have one of those characters, guess what? Level 1 up, or else you just can't beat them. So the current Abyss Samurais feels more open to player interpretation, and as a result feels more encouraging to combat against. Now yes, am I saying that from the perspective of someone who does have a lot more characters to try out with than normal players? But I'm saying that these samurais don't require you to use a specific element. They don't require you to play the game a certain way. They require you though to understand the core combat method of your team. You have to understand what your team is strong with, why your team is strong, who is your carry, and you have to find a way to output the most damage you can given the time frame with your carries. And I think that this is the right direction to go, because you can essentially, if you have 6 different teams, let's say, or 6 different variations of a similar team, you can run any of them. There's no restrictions essentially on which team you run, but there are restrictions on which one comes first. So let's say currently if you are fighting the Pyro Hypostasis, well, chances are you're not going to be able to use a Pyro team. It's really about the order as it is about specific match counters. Something that I felt was a bigger problem in this current Abyss, as opposed to actually fighting against monsters, is sorting out 8 sets of different artifacts for teams. And if you want to build new teams, you're going to have a messy situation at the end. What I mean by that is, it takes a piece of artifact from this character, move it into that character, and then take a piece from another character, move it into this character. It is a big headache nowadays to try out new teams. That's why most people have guides for specific teams. They just run the same team over and over again for the Abyss, while this current Abyss encourages you to try out new different teams, and there aren't any drawbacks. It's just more fun. But the problem is, you're going to be running complete different artifacts for different teams, and guess what? You're not going to know which artifacts is on which character by the end of it. Is it worth? I think so, but most people don't want to deal with it. So miHoYo, artifact preset when. With Abyss, I do think miHoYo is taking it in the right direction though, and while there still is a meta, I do think this Abyss is going to be overall more challenging but accessible for players at the same time. Currently, the Morgana team is still top tier along with alternative freeze teams, while Vaporize and Melt are just as powerful as they have always been. Freeze teams apart from the Morgana team has now risen into the limelight thanks to the introduction of Ayaka. If you don't know what the Morgana team is though, I do have a video talking about it right over here on screen, so if you want to, you can check that out. I do think that even if you are a meta player, there is no better time than now to be enjoying the game to the fullest. And if you are someone who doesn't care about the meta and just want to do random stuff that you see fit, it's also the same. This current iteration of the Abyss does not have a strict meta. Most of the teams that are available works. That's what makes this so much fun. With how many variations there currently are, the current game state really pushes the free-to-play experience to the limit. The samurais are great enemies to fight against, as while they feel challenging and hard to kill, for free-to-plays, they don't force you into elemental gimmicks like the Abyss Herald and Lectors. Their attacks are not overly complicated, and their damage is high enough to be a threat but not one-shotting you or chain CCing you to death. New zone mechanic makes the challenge not on damage but reach. It's ideas like this that may push future challenges to not be damage related. Because if miHoYo continues to push for more damage in the Abyss, there will come a threshold where free-to-play players or even small spenders find it difficult to keep up. So these non-damage challenges are definitely a good way to proceed. At the end of the day, we all play the Abyss for different reasons, and I think with this current Abyss variation, it's going to make many people want to play it as opposed to running from it. Now, with all that said, let's talk a little bit about how the whales feel about the current iteration of the Abyss. I myself am a whale. I can't deny it. I do think that I spent way too much money on this game, but I think it's for a good cause, okay? So, how do whales feel? I myself am a smaller whale. I've only spent about, a couple thousand on the game. I don't C6 every character, and I don't even have signature weapons for every single character. So there is a difference in feeling for this particular Abyss. I do think it's partly because of the fresh input straight from Inazuma. These monsters we haven't really had a long time to fight against, so they do feel more refreshing as you have to learn the attack patterns and blah 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 whatnot, right? But at the end of the day, what I find the most interesting is that this particular Abyss feels balanced. Oh my goodness, I don't know how to put this better into words. It just feels balanced. It feels good. It feels like it was designed for fun and not to gate players and progression. I don't know. It feels like miHoYo wants you to succeed, and it feels like all the players do have different tools, but it doesn't matter because this Abyss currently is a one-size-fits-all. I hope that makes sense. And currently, if you are somebody who hates the Abyss and have never tried it, I urge you to give it a try. I do think that it's a lot less gimmicky than previous versions, and if you just want to go and have a good time, smack some monsters around and practice your DPS cycles, the Abyss is the best place for that. And at the end of the day, I know a lot of us just does it for the primo gems. So with that said, like, subscribe if this video has helped, or if you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in future videos, and I want to hear what your inputs are for this current iteration of the Abyss. Now with that said, I'll see you all next time. Until then, stay safe and peace.